Hey there, I'm Kelly Sienkowski, and here in the spotlight with me today is Andi Chitty, a local coffee shop owner and children's book author. Andi, thank you so much for joining me today.
For having me.
So let's talk about your Fredericksburg coffee shop, Agora Downtown. It's got a really warm, welcoming vibe right on Caroline Street. And I think people come for the coffee, but they wind up staying for the community that you and your sister have created. Can you tell us how Agora even got started?
Yeah, so my sister was in her final year getting her master's. She had gotten her bachelor's degree in art, and then she was getting her master's in business. And I was at Virginia Tech getting my undergraduate in food science and technology. And we both didn't have plans for what we were going to do after we got out of school. And, we like to joke that when you take food science and technology, business, and art, and you put them together, you get a coffee shop. So we just, my sister messaged me and she said, I had this opportunity. I'm thinking of opening a coffee shop. Do you think you would want to do this with me? Because she knows I love recipe development and experimenting with flavors and such. And I was really hesitant at first. I'm quite risk averse, I've learned about myself. And um, so I was kind of wishy-washy about it. And then near the end of our final year in college, she messaged me and she was like, "Well, I'm going to do it. Um, you're welcome to join me, but either way, I'm going to do it." And I was like, "Well, you can't do it without me, so I'm coming in." She could technically do it without me, but it was definitely a little bit of FOMO. I was like, "I'm in. I'm doing it. I will forever regret it if I don't join." So that's
What
how
was
we started.
which one of your sisters was this? What was her name?
My oldest sister, MJ.
Gotcha. So your oldest sister and you started this. And can I tell you, I did not know that food science was a degree. I've never heard of that before.
Yes,
So you
I
guys
didn't
took
know
this
it
coffee
either.
shop on, and what was your vision for it? What was your goal for what you were going to create?
Honestly, I think we've been so blessed that I think our goal was exactly what Agora turned out to be, which was we went into it without a theme, against the advice of some of my sister's business advisors from her school. Um, we decided to just create an environment that was as warm and welcoming as we possibly could to everyone. And then we would see who walked through the door. And it turns out that everyone walked through the door. And that's kind of how it's been from the start. So that was our vision from the start, was to just be a gathering place for people. And that's really what we've turned it into. It's been lovely.
And what I've noticed when I visited is that you have shelves full of books in the back there. It's a really comfortable place if somebody wants to just sit down and stay for a while. Do you guys also focus on, I'm not sure if it's like local authors or just kind of Virginia authors as a whole?
Yeah, so we do have used books in our the back of our store, and some of those books as well are local authors that have contacted us, and then a lot of our local authors are featured in the front of the shop as well. So if we get a new book in, I'll often, put that book up front so everyone can kind of see the new arrival. And yeah, I have a lot of fun curating our book selection and such. Most of them are used books, and some of them are new local author books.
And what's amazing is, on top of running a successful coffee shop, you have also been writing books yourself. You've written three children's books. How did that even start?
Yes, it was about 5 years ago. I started writing children's books. I remember I was reading to my daughter one night, and it was Llama Llama Red Pajama. And I just had this overwhelming urge. I was like, I want to write something like this. So I wrote my first manuscript and I thought it was amazing. And I sent it to an editor to take a look at. And they really brought me back to reality that it was not amazing. I think everybody thinks that their first book is like, wow, this is so good. And then you start learning more about the craft of picture book writing, and it is not as easy as people think it is, particularly if you're choosing to write in rhyme, which is where I am most comfortable, is writing in rhyme. And it's far more complicated than people think from the outside. So I realized I had so much to learn. And I've spent the last 5 years studying the craft of picture book writing. I was trying to get an agent for a while, and I did get an agent. It took me 2 years to get a literary agent. And I was agented for 2 years as well after that. And last year, about a year ago, I made the decision to leave my literary agent. And I chose four of my strongest manuscripts, and I've been one by one self publishing them since
Very
then.
cool. So you were talking about how people don't really understand how much goes into it. Let's tackle that a little bit because like you said, you have a story in your mind. You can write the words on a paper. What else do you need to turn this into an actual book?
I think one of the parts that people don't think about very often, particularly from the onset, is to allow the illustrations to tell a good portion of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So people will often over describe things. They'll talk about the color that a character is wearing on their shirt, or they'll say she had brown hair and blue eyes, or they'll go into these descriptors. And I have noticed from, either first time picture book authors who are, trying to break into the field and I'm critiquing their manuscripts, or seeing somebody who's chosen to self-publish that maybe wasn't quite ready in the craft to really publish their book. Their books can be very wordy, and so much of it can be told through the pictures. It's a marriage in a picture book. You have the text and then you have the illustrations, and they're both important and they need to work together. And if the text is trying to do everything that the illustrations are doing, then the book is going to fall flat. So I say that that's one big thing that I would advise if you want to get into picture book writing, to read your manuscript and try to find what sections you do not need to have that the illustrations will tell for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's talk about your specific book. Let me see if I can share my screen here. I've got your website with the three books on it. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, so we've got your three books that you have here. You have Bananas in the Bath, Rockaby Forever, and the Wagga Laga Bugs. I hope I said that right.
Wagga
Wagga
Laga
Laga
Bugs, yes.
Bugs want to play all day. So tell me about Bananas in the Bath, because that, like you were just saying about the illustration, that looks like a great time, whatever they're doing in that bathtub.
Yes, so Bananas in the Bath was the first book I chose to self-publish. I still had my literary agent at the time, and at that time Wagga Laga Bugs was actually on submission to publishers. And I had written Bananas in the Bath, and the refrain in it is varying versions of yum, 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 laugh, 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 eating a banana in the bath, bath, bath. And I wrote this manuscript and read it to my kids. And for months, anytime one of us said yum, 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 or even just yum, somebody in the house was following up with laugh, 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 eating a banana in the bath, bath, bath. And
Stuck with you.
yeah, I mean, it really stuck with the kids for sure. And so I was considering asking my agent to put it on submission, but typically with a literary agent, you're only putting on 1 to 2 manuscripts on submission at a time. And the
Hmm.
Wagga Laga Bugs was already on submission. And I had this moment where I was like, if I want to read this book in book format to my kids while they're still within the age range, because it's a board book, it's ages 1 to 4 is what I would recommend for Bananas in the Bath. I realized that if I wanted to do that, I would have to self-publish, because even if, let's say, a publisher saw the manuscript somehow and offered me a contract on it, it would have still been 2 to 3 years till
Hmm.
I would, have a finished book in my hand. So I talked to my husband about it, and he knows how much time I've spent, developing my craft.
Yeah.
And he was on board with me self-publishing it. So that was how that journey got started. And I talked to my literary agent at the time, and she gave me the go ahead. She said it's a really cute manuscript. But with already having one on submission, I would have to wait if I wanted to put that one on submission. And I don't mind waiting. Publishing
Yeah.
requires a lot of patience, but in this instance, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to try this out.
Yeah, especially if you want to hold it in your hand and read it to your kids, like in real life. So. Good. So you did Bananas in the Bath and then Rockabye Forever. What is that book about? Oh, well, actually, there's one. What is Bananas in the Bath the story of?
So, oh yes. So, the like the pitch for Bananas in the Bath is uh, oh my gosh, what is it? Um, Bath time turns bananas in this silly book full of big emotions, yummy food, and just a bit of mess. Is
Perfect.
the pitch for that one. Sorry, it took me a minute to get there. I could not pull it out of my brain.
That's
Uh,
okay.
but yeah, no, so it's basically it's a very simple story, but it is very addictive when you read it. It's hard to get it out of your head. But yeah, it's a little boy, a bear, a bunny, and a monkey are all running to the bathtub. They're going to take a bath, and there's a turtle on every page. That's kind of driving the story a bit. And the bath is like the water is warm, but someone is sad, and it's a picture of the monkey, and it says this bath would be perfect if only it had mushy, gushy. Then you turn the page and it's the monkey holding bananas, bananas, and then you have yum yum yum, laugh laugh laugh, eating a banana
That's
in the bath
funny.
bath bath, and it goes through each of the animals. The with the bunny, the bubbles are growing, but someone is sad, and the bunny is sad now, and the bunny, is looking at banana and thinking that he wants carrots. And so everyone's kind of bringing these foods into the bath. And at the end, they yell, all done. And the bathtub is an absolute mess. So on the final page, you can see that the shower head has been turned on. And if you look at the illustration before that, the turtle is standing there at the faucet.
That's
So
good.
that's a general look at what Bananas in the Bath is.
That sounds like a cute story. So tell me a little bit about Rockabye Forever, because that looks like a total departure from Bananas in the Bath.
Absolutely. Yes. So Rockabye Forever is not my usual type of story that I would typically write. But my daughter, who I think was 5 years old at the time, I was singing to her at night. She would ask me for songs. All my kids asked me for songs, and we were kind of moving between like Lightfoot's "The Pony Man" or um, "All the Little Ponies" by Kenny Loggins, and I was just singing all these songs. Sometimes it was just as simple as "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" if I was really tired that evening. And my daughter asked if I would write her a song. She wanted one of her own. And I said I would try. And I looked up the idea of writing a version of Rockabye Baby
Mm-hmm.
came to my mind, and I looked it up, and Rockabye Baby is in the public domain. So I looked up, and there are a few renditions of Rockabye Baby, but most of them have to do with animals in trees sleeping and such.
Sure.
So I wrote Rockabye Baby, and I view it as a cross between I wrote Rockabye Forever, and I view it as a cross between Rockabye Baby and the picture book Love You Forever. So it kind of follows, it's Rockabye Baby, and then it's Walkaby Baby, and
Mm-hmm.
then next it's Talkaby Baby. So much to say, questions, opinions all through the day. And it just follows the growth of the child. And
Yeah.
so I wrote my daughter this song, and I sang it to her, and that's what she asked for every night for a long time. Um, and she would cry, and then I would cry because it's the child leaves, and then the mom says visit me, baby.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just from birth to adulthood kind of a story. I consider it more of like a baby shower gift. It's very different from what I would usually write my upbeat, fun manuscripts. But I really loved it. And I again I had the moment where I was like, I could probably self-publish this one too.
And then you get to give
Um,
her the
and
song that
then
she wrote. What's so cool is you guys
yeah,
will have that forever, you know,
yes,
like, and then one day she can sing that to her baby. Oh, that's so sweet.
yes, yes. So it's it's been a journey. Finding illustrators in particular has been like the biggest, like most fun part, I think, in
Hmm.
this journey. And yeah, it's been
Well, let's
and
talk
so
about your latest book, which I think really has some fun illustrations on it. That's the
thank
Wagga
you.
Laga Bugs Want to Play All Day. How did that book come about?
So I have it right here, the Wagga Laga bugs.
Mhm.
And this is a story. So as I mentioned, when I had the story that I got my literary agent with is the Wagga Laga bugs.
Hmm.
And she had read it. Her assistant had read it. I had sent in a query. Her assistant read it, and he sent it to her and said, you need to read this." And so she did, and she immediately contacted me. And she was like, she's like, "I don't see stories like this very often. I love it. We're gonna sell this to a publisher. This is gonna be great." She felt, and to this day, she's always been so. Can you hear me over the noise?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're
All
good.
right, excellent. She was always so supportive of the manuscript. She loved the Wagga Wagga book so much. Um, and it took me it took me a long time to write this story because the idea for it came when my son was about 6 months old. He's five now, 5.5, and he was very active as a baby, and I was trying to distract him during diaper changes because I think any parent who has like a really active child, diaper changes they can be a
Nothing.
struggle. So I would make up silly little chants and rhymes and such. And I was in the heart, and then like the height of learning how to write picture books. And one day I just said to him, "Wagga laga taga laga baga laga hey," and he burst into giggles. So I did that throughout the entire diaper change. I would just say "Wagga laga taga laga baga laga hey," and I after the diaper change, I wrote it down. I was like, "This is really fun to say." And the Wagga Wagga bugs came to me a little bit later, and I realized that they needed to be bugs. And from there, I had so many versions of the story that I had sent to my critique group. I think I had 5 different stories, trying to find the story that was perfect for the Wagga Wagga bugs. And then the Wagga Wagga bugs and the Big Storm was the original title. But that came to me, and right before I signed with Sandra, my illustrator, I changed it to the Wagga Wagga Bugs Want to Play All Day. And I think that was the right choice. I feel so good about the title as it is now.
Good. And what I love is that each one of these books and your song are so directly inspired by your kids.
They
And
are, yes.
that's phenomenal. I mean, as a mom, you're with your kids a lot. You get a lot of, interaction and engagement with them. And for these to kind of, you get a line and it sticks in your head, and then you're like, you know what, I can see a story with this. That's incredible.
Yes. Yes. You have to write it down. Otherwise, it'll be gone. It'll never come back. I've learned that the hard way. I think I've lost so many different phrases because I was like, I'll remember that. That's so good. And no, I never do. I have to keep notebooks in my car and notebooks on my counter and yeah.
So let's talk about that with the Wagga Laga bug. Your agent loved it,
Yes.
pitched it to publishers. Is this another self-publishing book, or do we have
It
a?
it it is another self-publishing book. So um I think it's one of those moments where looking back, I wonder if this is why it didn't sell. Was I was trying to so after I got my agent, she was a new agent as well, and I think she was totally fine with me making changes to the manuscript. But one of the changes that I did was originally it was 3 bugs, and I had the nonfiction back matter. And I was worried that the nonfiction back matter wasn't strong enough, number one. And I was worried the editors would not like that there were 3 main characters. So I rewrote the story to make it 1 bug and took out the nonfiction back matter. And that's the version that we submitted. And I got really great feedback from editors. Um, you know, just really great feedback, but nobody wanted to officially take it on. And that was after 2 years of submitting to over, I think, 26
Yeah.
publishers. And I had asked my agent at that time, we were talking about possibly shelving the story, but this is my favorite story I've ever written. And I was, excuse me, really struggling with the fact that I might never see this book
Hmm.
in real life come to book form. And so I contacted my agent about, whether or not she would be okay with releasing this book from contract, because this was the book that I was contracted with her for.
Yeah.
And I think she did not want to release it from contract.
She knew it was a
And
good story.
yeah, and it's hard for me to blame her, but I also feel like after 2 years, you kind of have to, chase your dreams at some point.
Yeah.
And it had taken me 2 years to get an agent. I queried over 158 times. And so it was a big deal to leave my literary agent, but I made that decision. I think
Hmm.
because I had self-published at the time, I had only self-published Bananas in the Bath, but I was more
Wow.
familiar with the process at that point, and I knew that I could do it. And I talked to my husband about it, and luckily he's not risk averse. So I mean, I was essentially coming to him about starting a publishing company. Is what I did at this point. I was like, what if I just chose four of my strongest manuscripts? Bananas in the Bath included, and I chose Rockaby because of my daughter, honestly. And I think it fills a niche that I otherwise would not fill, which is a baby shower book.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, so I chose Bananas in the Bath, which is already published, Rockaby Forever, Wagga Bugs Want to Play All Day, and at the same time, I signed on with my illustrator Sandra for Goodnight Wagga Bugs. So the fourth book in the series, or excuse me, the fourth book in my what I'm calling my 4-book self-publishing journey is Goodnight Wagga Bugs, which was already written before I even got my agent, 3 years ago. So.
And I'm assuming there's going to be some more rhyming in there that's probably going to be catchy with the Wagga Laga.
Yes, yes.
Oh.
So the uh, Goodnight Wagga Bugs is, Wagga Laga, Taga Baga Laga, Peep. We don't want to Wagga Laga, Taga Sleep. And it's just the Wagga Bugs
That's the
waking
one.
everybody up. It's bedtime, and the Wagga Bugs do not want to go to sleep. So that's what that one will be. And that one has nonfiction back matter about resting behaviors of different bugs and arthropods.
Hmm.
And I had a lot of fun with it. And all of my back matter, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, has been fact checked by an entomologist. I think that's really important if someone's looking to self-publish. You need to make sure that you're putting forth correct information.
Sure.
So I have an entomologist that I send my back matter to, and then the full story, so she can just take a look and make sure that everything's,
That's
uh,
really
you know,
cool because now you're giving the kids, it's not just the cute rhyming story. Now you're adding in the educational component, which it's kind of like dinosaurs. Like there are some kids who love bugs. They are all
yes.
in. But this has really been a major journey for you. What's been the most rewarding part of all of that?
I think the most rewarding part is, it has to be um, finally being able to connect with young readers, the kids. Um, I spent so many years developing the craft of picture book writing, and it's always in your head, like, this is for the kids. I want to write these stories for the kids. And
Hmm.
now can, I, I've made that step there where I am, sorry, my kids all ran in.
That's okay.
Um, where, I am, Jackie,
That's okay.
listen, thank you. Yeah, so I think being able to connect with kids and parents specifically has been the absolute best. And every once in a while, I get an email or a message on Instagram or Facebook from a parent, to let me know how much the book has affected their kids. And it's just the most lovely thing. I know Wagga Laga was only released about a month ago, but I'm getting messages, and I still get messages about Bananas in the Bath. That one
Good.
for sure. And I had somebody read Rockabye the other day, and they messaged me and they were like, I did not expect to cry while reading this book. Thanks a lot.
Um,
you know, so I think that's been the most rewarding part is that after so many years of trying to be published and trying to, you know, have my books in the world, they are now, and the response has just been incredible.
I think one of the most powerful things about this is that you've gone through such a journey. Like you said, over 5 years kind of in the work, but you took your dream and your vision and what you had in your mind and you turned it into an actual, real thing. You can hold it. And I
Yes.
think that's incredible. And like we said earlier, I mean, your kids are going to have those forever, and then your grandkids and all of that. But I wanted to make sure I share the website for people who might be interested in purchasing a book. I've got andichittybooks.com, and all
Right.
three of your books are up there now. And you also have some bundles. You've got
Yes.
activity sheet, really cool thing. And I'm sure that Goodnight Wagga Wagga Bug will be up there as soon as that's ready too.
Well, yes. Yes. I actually just got the cover the other day. So do you want to see it?
That's exciting. Yeah,
What's in
you
the
have it. Are
cover
we
of
allowed
Goodnight
to?
Wagga Wagga Bugs?
Sneak peek.
Yeah, sure. Let me see if I can find it. I'll share my screen as soon as I have it up.
Perfect. That's so exciting. I imagine it must be really thrilling to like see the bugs come to life. I can't draw well
Yes.
enough to do anything. So I don't know if you can. I know you said you sister was an art major, but
Yeah, I love art. I adore it. I think it's wonderful, but I am not an illustrator.
mhm.
Um, so let me see if I can share my screen here.
Sure.
All right. Are you able to see it?
Oh, it's adorable.
Yeah, so Sandra just sent this to me. We actually just finalized the full book, and I just contacted my printer, and I'm getting quotes right now. But yeah, I love how it contrasts with book one, where it's daytime and it's bright and it's vibrant, and then you have Goodnight Wagga Wagga Bugs. And I'm excited to see the two books next to each other. I think it's
That's
going to look
so
really,
cool.
really wonderful.
I like the style of it too. Like it's very fun and it's pretty, you know. I appreciate children's books that are kind of pretty, you know, something pleasant to look at.
Yes, I like to call so Sandra Atema Welt is the illustrator for the Wagga Wagga Bugs, and I like to call her the Queen of Color. Like anytime I'm questioning like what color something should be, I'm like, you know what? I need to just let Sandra go with it. I trust her
There you
completely.
go.
Yeah.
Well, Andy, I want to thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been really interesting to learn about the journey you've taken, not only running a wonderful coffee business in downtown Fredericksburg, but also publishing your soon-to-be four books, which is an incredible accomplishment. Also, as a mom with three children running around as well.
Thank
So,
you.
for any of our viewers, thanks for watching In the Spotlight with Kelly Sienkowski. Make sure that if you're in Fredericksburg, you stop into Agora Downtown for coffee and a chance to check out some of the books that we have right here written locally. Thanks, Andy. I hope you have a great day.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Trying to turn it off.